Coming up on ATV News, students gather on campus and across the city to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month.
Also, we speak with new SPA Senator Braden Watkins about student government following the most recent election. All of this and more coming up on ATV News. Welcome to ATV. I'm Jacob Clark.
And I'm Fabianna Rincon. Here are our top stories. September 15th through October 15th was Hispanic Heritage Month. I spoke with AU students to see how they're celebrating their history and culture. From Thursday, September 15th to Saturday, October 15th, the DC and American University populations celebrated Hispanic Heritage Month, where residents from across Latin America came together to celebrate the history, contributions, and achievements of Latina culture. AU's two Latin American organizations, LULAC, the League of United Latin American Citizens, and LEA, Latinos en Acción, each held a multitude of events throughout the month. They held a Hispanic Heritage Month celebration, group trip to Fiesta DC, and a bachata night with dancing, pupusas, and performances from local Latino organizations.
It really was an opportunity for all of us to learn more of our culture and be able to share it with other students on campus.
LULAC, American University's chapter of the oldest and largest Hispanic organization in the United States, also had quite the eventful Hispanic Heritage Month. Their events included the general body meeting in September and an invitational seminar with Maria Canals Barrera alongside the Kennedy Political Union. LULAC concluded the month with a karaoke night and HIV educational seminar with food, giveaways, and guest speakers. For ATV News, I'm Fabianna Rincon.
Turning it over to the political side of campus, the School of Communication and Kennedy Political Union welcomed NBC's Kristen Welker and CNN's Caitlin Collins last Wednesday. The two chief Whitehouse correspondents came to give insight on how to cover news in the nation's capital. They were joined by distinguished guest lecturer and CNN Vice President Antoine Cienfuentes in the Doyle Foreman Theater. Both correspondents stressed the importance of preparation when holding public officials accountable. They also emphasized the importance of credibility, both from them and their sources. At the end of the hour-long panel, students had the opportunity to ask Welker and Collins questions. They advise aspiring journalists to keep asking questions, seek out mentors, and say yes when others say no.
In other campus news, the AUSG elections wrapped up earlier this week. Second-year Braden Watkins was elected as senator of the SPA. His goal for this position is to do the most good for the most people.
AUSG is as close to a local government as we students get. It provides services. It's important. It needs a bit of fixing up, but that's never really scared me.
Eager to start, Watkins hopes more AU students become involved in student government, especially the election process.
After the break, Caleb Ogilvie reports on the library's new policy that affects the entire first floor.
And the university finds a new way to provide COVID testing to students.
This fall, celebrate Vote Early Day
and make your voice heard.
Over 220 million Americans can vote early.
So the question isn't why vote early.
It's why wait?
Find out how you can vote early at voteearlyday.org.
If you're buzzed and doing this to make yourself feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive.
Hoping students' grades don't fall like the leaves of autumn, Bender Library now offers 24/7 access to its first floor. Reporter Caleb Ogilvie brings us insight into how this impacts the AU community.
The library is now open 24/7 on the first floor. Students are taking advantage of the extended time in a quiet study space.
I feel like it's good having a place where I can go whenever I need to study at any hour, and it's always accessible.
Studying past midnight is useful for students who say they feel more productive at night or don't have time to study during the day.
Usually during the day, I forget about the things I need to do because I'm doing other stuff like classes and hanging out with my friends.
Though the reserved desk closes at 10 p.m. and most librarians aren't available in the middle of the night, students rely on each other for companionship.
I I really like studying with people. Like it like helps motivate me to keep going on my grind. So I'd say not just like I don't know if it's exciting, but fun to be with like other night owls that like to do it. It's just a good companionship.
The library's nighttime operations specialist, Brian Fu, says the library's 24/7 system will continue to adjust based on student feedback.
We actually have just announced that we're going to have listening sessions, or we call them focus groups or feedback sessions for undergraduate and graduate students to come in and either in person or over Zoom talk to us about how they've experienced 24/7 so far.
In the meantime, the library will continue to be open throughout the night, whether for studying, essay cramming, or playing games.
It's just like a space where we can like do our work when we need to, and then when we're done, just kind of like goof around.
For ATV News, I'm Caleb Ogilvie.
American University has taken a new approach to COVID testing this summer. The university no longer has a testing center. Instead, students get tests through vending machines. These can be found in the Mary Graydon Center, Washington College of Law, and Connecticut Avenue offices. Some students are worried the university is relying exclusively on self-testing. But for junior Grace Kelly, this new policy has not altered her COVID approach.
I personally choose to always wear a mask, especially I'm in a few big classes. Some of my Kerwin lecture halls seat a lot of people, and I don't really feel super comfortable not being unmasked in that scenario.
Masks in the classroom have been optional, yet encouraged for the past month. Additionally, students can now return to classes on day 6 of their COVID-positive isolation, with or without a negative antigen test. Although many students are thrilled to have less COVID restrictions, not everyone is celebrating.
Another change for American University is where it fell in the U.S. World in News Report rankings. Reporters Marcus McNeill and Gabby Arnold show us where AU's first-year experience ranks amongst the rest.
According to the latest U.S. News and World Report, American University ranks 12th in the first-year experience, tying Boston College and Yale University. One large contributor to this ranking is the American University Experience Program. Broken up over 2 semesters, the 1.5 credit course offers students a curriculum dedicated to transitioning into their first year of college. Sophomore Claire Phillips works for the AUX program as a peer facilitator. Although her professor advised her to apply, she says she joined the program to put her AU knowledge into something productive.
I think knowing like the importance of like your voice and your power on campus and being able to like give back to your community or even like find community on AU's campus, I think that's something that freshmen, I hope they take away from AUX.
Although students like Phillips are generally satisfied with the program, AUX regularly receives criticism. While the program updates its curriculum annually based on student feedback, some think it has a long way to go. For ATV, I'm Gabby Arnold.
The Office of Campus Life has rebranded the Counseling Center. Students can now find care at the Center for Wellbeing Programs and Psychological Services. As AU celebrates Emotional Awareness Month, sophomore Ariana Mancuso says they have seen positive changes already.
Last year was a little bit rough. It took like many weeks to get an initial consultation. This year's been a lot better. Then I ended up getting psychiatric services through AU, which has been great. Definitely they had a lot they needed to improve on, and I think they're taking steps to actually do that because last year it really just wasn't enough.
The new program provides individual and group therapy, victim and survivor advocacy services, crisis intervention, and single-session appointments by telehealth. Students can also check out personalized wellness platforms like the You at American and the My SSFP app. When we return, we'll hear from students about issues they have with the terrace dining room.
And American University students join people from across the country to march in support of women's access to reproductive care.
Man, I can't believe I'm missing this.
Don't get stuck at home with the flu. A flu shot is the best way to prevent the flu and its potentially serious complications. Don't get flu FOMO.
If you're an ally of this community, speak out. There are more of us together than apart, and so they need you to stand with them.
University dining halls are often the butt of many jokes, and AU's terrace dining room is no exception. We now turn to Josie Turzi, who has spoken with returning and first-year students about the issues that continue to plague the dining program.
I feel like it's kind of a running gag at American that the dining program sucks, so it's like kind of weird that it's taken this long for them to address anything or make any significant changes.
If you attend American University, you have heard horror stories about the food, cleanliness, and staff at the terrace dining room.
I got food poisoning from TDR from like the fish bite things. We tried to follow up with the dining hall people at AU, and my mom contacted them, and they kind of just pushed it away.
I saw a man drop just a whole pizza on the ground and kind of sandwich part of it on the counter and then put the part that didn't fall but got sandwiched on the counter out there. I'd say 30% of the time if you get chicken, it's going to be uncooked. 20% of the time there might be a hair in your food.
While students have the opportunity to make their voices heard as they leave TDR, there is confusion about the purpose of the smiley buttons.
Apparently during the meeting they were we have 96% approval rating from those buttons, but nobody knows what those buttons are for. I just thought it was for how good the workers were.
I doubt anybody is actually true on it, because even if it's bad, I very rarely press an angry one, so they just make no sense actually.
What students want most from AU Dining is answers and action.
It's just kind of disappointing because we're paying so much money and we can't even eat at TDR. So.
Because this is my 4th year here, and even since I started, there's just been kind of the same complaints about undercooked chicken, dry food. Everything that I've been saying has been said for 4 years, and it's kind of weird that nothing has changed.
For ATV News, I'm Josie Turzi.
In preparation for the midterm elections, AU students joined people across the country to march for reproductive rights. On October 8th, the Women's March organization, along with the National Women's Law Center and the American Federation of Teachers, organized together in response to the Dobbs decision. This summer, the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade in a 6-3 decision. The Women's March website says this caused them to be more fired up than ever to elect more women and pro-choice candidates. Held exactly 1 month out from the midterm elections, attendees are now looking ahead to November.
Taylor Swift's record-breaking album Midnights was released last Friday. Receiving 185 million streams on its first day, Swift's 10th album shattered the record for biggest album debut in Spotify history. The song tells the story of sleepless nights scattered throughout Swift's life. To keep in theme, senior Fiona Dempsey stayed up all night to listen to Midnights when it was first released.
Please keep making more music, and please have a tour soon where I can get tickets and they're not outrageously expensive.
Dempsey is hopeful for what this new Taylor era will entail. Although Swift hinted to the potential of a tour on The Tonight Show, fans are still waiting for an official announcement. Just like Taylor Swift, ATV News still has more in tune back in November for our second broadcast of the year. I'm Jacob Clark.
And I'm Fabianna Rincon. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.